there is some open gym, but basically it's like almost all classes that are running like all the time. So I hate accountability. I hate it. Like people are like, hey, you want to be accountable and go to the gym? No, that sounds like the worst possible thing ever. But I think this might be like a group accountability. I might like that more than just one or two people, or even just like one trainer. I like the idea and the concept.
That's good. And is there a hot check involved?
Well, of course. But actually, me and her aren't even talking anymore. So, which makes it weird because when we first started talking and she was talking about going to Phoenix, and I was like, well, this is right after we started talking. I go, I really want to do that. You reminded me that I wanted to do that, which sounds like I want to do it because of her. But I was like, I won't go if you think that would be weird. If we stop talking in 2 weeks, which is exactly what happened. And she's like, no, not at all. You should do it. It's awesome. So
she knows also she's more advanced at this, so she can, if she's got to take you down.
Oh, we've had that
helps out.
We had that conversation. I was like, you can kick my ass. I got 100 pounds on you, but I'm sure that, because all you need is like some technique. She does the Brazilian jiu-jitsu. It's like, you can just, grab it. You can like give me the Spock or like do the thing where you turn the hand, or I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, that's like UFC level stuff. She's not going to Spock hand you. She's going to choke you out. She's going to hop on your neck.
That's true.
And separate your shoulder.
Well, die doing what I loved, I guess.
Right.
So how's it going, man? How's life?
It's going well. There was one more thing related to Billy Joel, because I got off the phone with you the other day. I was like, oh, that's what I wanted to tell you. And I have no idea what it is now, except The Stranger, which is just a fun name to say. But they were really good, and I don't think it was necessarily me.
And the one guy had the Quiznos sub in his...
He had something like that, but I think he knew what he was doing. But he was the one that came in that he was like pumping them, and I recognized afterwards he was getting himself amped up to go play.
Oh, that's the guy that can look like he want to fight you.
He like flexed on me in the atrium.
Yeah, but he was kind of bouncing around, getting fired up.
Or maybe he saw me and was like,
yeah,
my furtive beard, my very masculine, manly beard. So when you
sorry, furtive beard,
beard.
First of all, that's a great description of your beard.
That could be every band at the band Floyd Fest.
Yours is very, we talk about our beards a lot, but yours, it does have a mysteriousness to it. Like you do have the look of like you could be like a double agent or something. You could be a furtive beard.
Yeah,
mine isn't furtive. Mine's verdant more, or like
that's what I meant.
But not green, but
fertile,
fertile beard, fertile myrtle,
furtive beard.
Either way, that guy wanted to kick your ass.
He did, and to get beat up at the tin pan by the clarinet player of The Stranger would not be...
Well, he's compensating for being the clarinet player.
Oh, no. He didn't need to compensate. That's the thing. He did his power stance. That was, I see where he practiced holding that clarinet. It wasn't the first time he had to deal with something in that shape. Good. Right. And I mean, good for him. And, I hope his pants, he's got to get like re-sew the crotch back in.
Right.
Good problem I don't have.
I need to have the crotch let out on these. Again?
I keep bursting through this area of my pants. Is there something you could do? No, lower.
Right.
No, way down there. See by the knee where
Don't look at the quiz. The Quiznos sub thing will always be funny because that was your description. Was that you or Adam?
That was me, Brett Michaels.
Talking about Brett Michaels. Quiznos sub down his leather pants.
They're assembling him before he goes on stage, and I've always pictured that the hat, bandana, and toupee are one giant thing. It's like lowered on him like Darth Vader in that chamber,
right?
And then the last part is they get a Quiznos sub and just jam it down the front of his pants.
I like the specificness of it. It's got to be Quiznos. He's like none of that.
Yeah,
Jersey Mike's bullshit.
It's on his rider. No Subway.
Right.
I need a Quiznos sub. Is Quiznos still around?
You better believe it.
Okay.
There's a Quiznos down by that Celesti, whatever it's called, Gelati Celesti. Well, in fairness, I haven't been there in a while, but I used to hit that up for lunch every now and then.
Yeah,
I know it's hard to believe.
I kind of block out the Subway or the sandwich shops. They all seem the same.
Somebody, I'm trying to remember who it was that worked at a Subway. I think it's somebody. Oh, it's somebody I work with. She said she'll never eat at Subway. Well, because we got on this conversation because we're talking about potlucks at work. Mm-hmm. She doesn't eat at the work potlucks, and I do get it. You don't know. Yeah, you don't know how that food was prepared. So she starts sending these memes of this is why I don't eat at the potluck. And it's like people cooking in disgusting kitchens. But then she started talking about Subway. She's like, I worked at Subway, and one time I came in and one of the guys had the tuna fish, like, had picked it up and was like putting it on his body or something, and then like putting it back in the thing or something disgusting. And I was just like, I haven't eaten at Subway since then. And it's not just Subway. That's the bad. You don't know.
Well, the fact that that anyone that has worked at a restaurant, as you and I both have, and then still goes out to eat is amazing. Like,
you're right.
No one you shouldn't go anywhere to eat. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And I mean, I used to make fun of another guy I worked with, Travis, who refused to eat out. Like, he would eat at Chipotle if he saw them making it in front of him. But that was pretty much it. That
seems a weird choice of like, I'm not going to eat anywhere.
Yeah.
But I will eat I will eat at the place that torrential diarrhea is a statistical probability that's gonna happen to me.
Torrential diarrhea is opening up for furtive beer at the tin pan.
At the tin pan. So when like you're out with friends and it's similar to the 3-sheet scale, that there's that certain amount of drinks that people have that their true natures start to come out. And there's that, you have a couple beers and then there's a couple categories of it. There's a few beers and there's politics guy.
Oh no.
And it always starts with, I don't want to get political, but
right.
And you know what's going to happen,
it's
after
very
that.
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that lead in, I don't want to get political, but is almost it's the with all due respect.
Like no offense or something.
Yeah. When someone says no offense or with all due respect,
with all due respect. Yeah.
Here's something extremely personal about you that I'm about to say.
Yeah. As with all due respect or even respectfully, I mean, you're about to be disrespected.
Right.
Just like no offense means you're about to be offended or you just were.
Yeah.
They just attempted to offend you.
So, and the other one is I've always found there's the, X amount of drinks to being racist.
Yeah.
Which normally, you can see, and I've called people out on that. Like, it's Miller Lite 3 and I'm like, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what you really think about Eskimos. It just comes out and I just kind of make a note to myself, John equals 3 Miller Lights to racist is what's going to come out. And to be clear, racism is wrong.
It is.
And it's not funny. Just like sexual harassment is not funny, except when it involves Charlie Rose. Then it's hilarious. But I mean, so there's exceptions to everything.
Yes,
but as a blanket statement. So I have a good friend of mine that we were having beers a couple years ago, and I'd say he was 4 Yinglings before he was racist.
Yeah.
But he just looks over at me and says, who I really hate?
Oh no.
And I'm going through my ethnic list of, who I figure people are going to say.
Yeah.
I hate the Welsh.
The Welsh.
Why?
Who hates the Welsh?
My friend.
Yeah.
So that was a little bit unexpected to hear.
Did he explain it or was it just a blanket statement?
It came from just personal interactions he's had with people that were Welsh. And again, through my mind, I'm trying to list, and all I can think of is Princess Diana. My interactions with Princess Diana were fairly limited, so I can't really judge anything.
Well, I just thought racist stuff that relates to Wales, Welshing on a bet. That could be something that we didn't pre-plan this, so I don't know for sure, but my guess is it has something to do with some Welsh guy that.
But that's what I thought too, but it was just more of did not seem to enjoy their interactions. They were kind of stuffy and thought they were better themselves. You know
what? He needs to be careful because he's wading into who's the guy? Liam Neeson territory. You can't just have one bad experience with someone and then decide you hate a whole group of people. Well,
but in my friend's defense, he was 4 Yinglings at a bar and didn't leave the bar to go to a Welsh neighborhood to murder anyone.
Yeah. That you know of.
Yeah.
I mean, you get him 6
I need to start looking up
10 Yinglings.
He's got his map of Welsh neighborhoods in the U.S. out.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I have been in situations with people that where it gets real uncomfortable. I hope I'm not that person. I think my thing is I just talk so much anyway, and I'm willing to tell people how I feel about stuff for the most part.
Yeah.
At least that's what I say.
Yeah.
But we've also been out a few times.
I'll show you my chart later of what I have for you.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, gosh. We can't even put it on air. But I've definitely been with people who, because what happens, I think, is you feel like you're real comfortable talking to this person, and all of a sudden you think, well, they're going to agree with, I'm sure they agree with my political views. Yeah. So let's just, why wouldn't they?
And now that I've had 3 beers, probably, my judgment's even sharper.
All right.
So Obviously, they're going to agree with me.
Well, we are all hopped up on coffee right now. No beers, so we don't have to worry about...
And no Welshmen are here, to my knowledge.
No Welshmen. I have a little Scotch-Irish in me. Hey-o. But anyway, welcome to Origin of Speakeasies. I'm Scott, here with my friend Steve, as always. And we've got some good words and phrases for you. We're going to start off with, I think, pardon my French.
Pardon my French.
Yeah. So I've been looking forward to this one. I always just thought it was... I never thought too much about it other than it was like, oh, I just swore or used profanity.
So this is one that you've used before, or do you use
all the time? It's whenever I'm with someone that I'm not sure. So let's go back to that bar and I'm 3 Yinglings in, or for me it would be, Miller Lights and probably more like 6. And I don't know if I cuss, is that going to be offensive to them or not? So I'll drop a pardon my French just to get their reaction. Like, oh, pardon my French, or I'll say something and say, pardon my French right after. So I use it a lot.
Yeah. So it's something that I use too. And I'd say it's almost, we were talking earlier about it's a little bit related, I feel like, to no offense. Mm-hmm. Like it's in like that ballpark of things. Yeah. But it's something that I've said often. And people, I think, and if you say that in front of people, they understand what you're getting at. When you say pardon my French, they know that you're going to say something a little off color or whatever.
And this is interesting because I never thought about it. There is a group of words or phrases that gets used to sort of soften the blow for what you're about to say, but it never really works that way. Right. Like it doesn't. Like
there is no way to if you're going to say something that insults somebody.
Yeah, or if you're going to say something that is really vulgar, just because you say pardon my French before or after. Right. I'm going to go, I can't believe you just said that at the pool.
Yeah, it's right. It's not a blanket get out of free jail card. Right. If you're sensitive to the F-bomb, someone just saying pardon my French before that is not going to cover that sin for you.
Yeah, and I just thought of another one, but this is a little different. This is when you're about to gossip about someone and talk real bad about them. What do we start it with? You know how much I love Steve. Like, I love Steve.
Yep.
He's one of my best friends. I love that guy.
Here it comes.
Oh, my gosh. Have you seen his beard, his furtive beard? He looks like But it's the same deal.
I love somebody, but...
It's because you feel like you have to apologize for what... you're doing something wrong. So It goes back to pardon my French.
Yeah.
Maybe wrong is but you're doing something that someone may view as wrong. You don't think it's wrong. And it's the same thing with, I don't mind gossiping about Steve. But on the outside chance you look at me as a bad person because I'm going to talk bad about Steve, let me preface it by letting you know how much I love Steve.
Yeah.
But the real message people should take away is I talk crap about my best friends.
Yeah.
So can you imagine what I'm going to say about you?
Yeah. When we someone who's just all right.
That's right. And by the way, pardon my French, I'm going to, this is how I talk. You may not be able to handle it. So let me just drop this little thing, or you may look at me poorly, but really I was just trying to pronounce a French word.
Right. So getting back to the use of the term pardon my French. So this was one that I remember we had talked about this a few weeks ago, kind of planning. So I did a little bit of research, and then as I did more research, the true roots of this. So there's the roots of the word and the phrase and when it gets incorporated into our general etymology. But doing some more research, this is actually, we talk about the origin of speakeasies.
Yes.
This traces back to an event that actually changed the course of the English language.
Oh, really? It was Battle of Hastings or something? Or
yeah.
Was that it?
That is. Look at you, history guy. Well, thanks for stepping all over my big review.
That was the first.
Also, I appreciate it.
I know that there's like 3 big events in history. There's like the signing of the Magna Carta, the Battle of Hastings, and when LeBron took his talents to South Beach. That's about all I know.
I was going to say the one Batman episode where he has a surf battle with the Joker.
Oh, yeah.
And he has to put on his baggies. Just an action figure at my house. But again, that's the third. We'll talk about that later. But that's also
the shark repellent one, right?
No, that's a movie.
Oh, okay. My bad. See, this is where Steve is the historian on here. So
I understand great English battles and also certain times when Batman was surfing.
So pardon my French. Actually has something to do with...
So I would say the roots of this actually comes back to the Norman conquest of England, which included the decisive battle, which was the Battle of Hastings. William the Conqueror from France conquered the Anglo-Saxons of Britain and started the whole French versus England sort of, I don't know, rivalry is a term. They don't like each other.
Right.
And historically have not done that. One way to not like people is to have someone conquer you.
Yeah, that's a sign.
That's a general way to kind of sow discord between people. So at the time of the Norman Conquest, which included the decisive victory at the Battle of Hastings by William the Conqueror, the Anglo-Saxon language was mostly Germanic, West Germanic. So with that time, when the Normans took over, they conquered the area, took over the court systems, took over the laws, and from that point really literally changed the English language. We joke our podcast is Origin of Speaksies.
Right.
This was something that changed the English language for years and years. I mean, still today we see the effects of that.
It changed. I took a class in college. I was an English major and took history of the English language. And I do remember this being a pivotal thing and changing. Yeah. And it's so important. It's such a powerful thing to be able to control the language. Yeah. So doesn't surprise me at all that that's one of the first things they did.
Part of that. So getting back to the roots of England and France not caring for each other.
Right.
I would look back to the Norman Conquest, which some estimates have seen probably added additional 10,000 words to English, including 3/4, which are still in use today.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
So large number of abstract nouns ending in suffixes like age and ants and mint and tion.
Okay. So they essentially appended the English language with a bunch of new words. So the lexicon was greatly expanded. So and I would imagine people had trouble.
Yeah, well, a little bit bitter about that. But some of the things, some of the categories of words, since the conquerors were there, it affected matters of the crown and nobility. So some words that we see trace back to France: castle, prince, count, duke, viscount, which I wish we used more. That's a good title to have. I'd like to be a viscount of something.
Absolutely. Count is super cool. Now, viscount, I don't know where that ranks. Hold on a second. The kids are freaking, they want pizza. They're just banging stuff. Hold on. Hey guys, stop banging. You're not banging? Logan, are you banging the ground? Okay, Reagan, I think it's you. I'm going to order pizza when we get a break here in a few minutes. Stop texting me, okay? All right. So sorry about that.
Sorry.
We're right below the bathroom upstairs. I think Reagan's in the bathroom is going this. She's like, I'm not banging. I'm like, yeah, you are.
Yeah, that's how she works it out.
Apparently so. She does everything so slowly. She'll take a 20-minute bathroom break, just sitting there and sing to herself and stuff. All right, so
I'm not going to try to overlist words, but I'm going to hit a couple other big areas. So in some terms that are added, some legal terms that came into the vernacular: court, judge, accuse, arrest, bailiff, plaintiff.
So, well, it makes me wonder how much these concepts were clearly around.
Right.
So the Germanic side of it was more just the harsh language.
Well, since the Normans, the French took over and they were in charge of all the important things. They're in charge of the government. They're in charge of the courts. They're not going to take the dumb, as they look upon, vulgar German words.
Yeah. Which I think vulgar has to be a German word, ironically.
So it's, the effect of what happens when you get conquered by somebody. So as we know, tensions between the French and English still continue. And again, I think because they're generally looked on as white people, we can provoke these and talk about maybe slurs that they use for each other also, which I think are fine.
We're totally fine
with
that.
So have you ever heard French people referred to as frogs?
No.
You've never heard of that as a frog?
I haven't. No, I'm going to use it though.
Well, it's good. So as you can imagine, it's not nice.
So
they didn't mean it as a compliment to them.
Was this something they were using back then?
So the first use of English calling the French a frog been tied back to the 1300s. And it was used to refer to the Jesuits, whose enemies compared them to unclean animals that lie in the mud.
Ooh.
Also speculated that it's associated with the original French heraldry symbol, which contained 3 frogs.
Oh.
But then it was changed to lilies in the 6th century, creating the fleur de lis.
You could kind of be making fun of them, be like, "Oh, hey, frogs, yeah, that's your dirty, muddy, crappy."
So I've heard that before. I don't know if I've ever used it. Now, the French counter to that is roast beef, which is supposed to be roast beef.
Oh, okay.
Because apparently the English are really into roast beef.
Yeah, that rings true.
Yeah.
But that's not is that really an insult?
I could see it coming from a French person. When you think of French cuisine and French cooking and,
Right. Go eat your roast beef. Go eat your roast beef.
Le roast beef.
We're going to be eating, liver, chicken livers not chicken livers. What do they eat? Goose livers, pate, whatever. I don't know.
So French condescension looking down on the English.
Yeah.
So again, the roots of Pardon My French, I think, go all the way back to, again, the Norman Conquest and just kind of a little bit of the tension between the English and the French. So fast forward just a few years to modern times where we see this used, again, as we were discussing earlier, generally to excuse profanity.
Yes.
To see some uses of that. So some of the early uses that I've found go back generally to the early 1800s. So in 1830, there's a British fashion magazine, the Ladies Magazine.
Oh boy!
I like how they really got to what sort of magazine is this? Well, it's the Ladies Magazine.
It's like the one when we were talking about Beyond the Pale, I think, and it was called London Magazine.
London Magazine, maybe it's from the same publisher,
right?
From the people that brought you London Magazine.
Right. Just spitballing here.
Yeah, the Ladies Magazine.
The Ladies Magazine.
So there's a quote in there from 1830. Where one lady is speaking to another lady and says, "Bless me, how fat you have grown. Absolutely as round as a ball. You will soon be as bon point, excuse my French, as your poor dear father, the major."
Ooh, okay, I like it. So was that thing she said, "on point" or whatever, was that actual French?
You would think I would have checked that before I actually came out here.
No, I wouldn't have if it was me. So,
no,
sorry.
So that means bloated or plump.
Oh, nice. So that's perfect. So that is exactly how we use it now. So
yeah. So, and I like the use of bless me. Perhaps this could be the roots of bless your heart.
I thought the same thing when you said it. Yep. But what else do you expect from a French magazine called Ladies, the Ladies Magazine?
Right.
Maybe a little snarky there.
It would be.
Not saying ladies are snarky, but
not at all.
Not saying French ladies would be even snarkier. I don't know. French ladies might be awesome. I don't know any French ladies.
So the Ladies Magazine quote is actually from a story by Baron Karl von Milty.
Oh, we need more barons too.
in the Ladies Magazine. And the irony, of course, I wonder if Baron actually came from the French conquest, if that's where that title was added.
Absolutely. No doubt. Like because we were just talking about viscounts and counts, and then Baron was in there.
So looking for uses of this in the United States, we go to the also creatively named the New England Magazine. There's a reference in 1833. Slightly earlier than that, there's a reference from a novel called Randolph, a novel, very, very well named, in 1823.
So
by
that's
American
like a collection
writer.
of short stories or something? Or?
It could be.
Oh, no, it's probably a novel.
Probably from the publishers of the New England Magazine and Ladies Magazine.
Right.
So
from the people that brought you book.
So we start, as we had mentioned before, a lot of times we'll see a phrase show up in the language, get published in magazines. So why do we say that? Why is it pardon my French? Why is it not pardon my German or pardon something else? And it seems to go back to, from what I found, the general distaste of English versus the French.
Okay.
It's just that going back to the Norman Conquest, there's rivalry.
Yeah, I think you've answered the question. I mean, that's perfect. I mean, because it's again one that when you brought this one up that, hey, let's tackle this one, and I'm thinking, my first thought was, it's just something you say. Again, what is there really to it? And it turned out to be a perfect one because, it goes back to probably one of the most pivotal things that impacted the English language. And you've explained very well, like, okay, got all these French words, viscount and baron, and anything that ends with a ment.
Yeah.
Because it was probably mot in French, right?
And as much as people, still don't like the French, that's just kind of an easy trope of if you
I don't think that's too controversial.
But I'm somebody, and this might surprise you a little bit. I got to say, I like the French. There's just something about them that I like. I like the fact.
Maybe you've come around on that a little bit, or you've always been a big fan of the French.
Well, I'm generally not a fan of anybody. So your instinct to say, you really like those people is probably correct. I've always just appreciated at least the French. You kind of know where you stand with them.
Yeah. And
also something very crucial, especially I've been doing some reading on the French Revolution, like them or not, and they've been there for us. And one of the reasons the French Revolution happened was France was in such debt from supporting us and giving the United States, giving the colonies money, of course, to fight England, who they hate also.
Oh, man, that's right. I say that's right. I didn't know that. Yeah. That's awesome. That's good.
But, next time you want to call something freedom fries, some people lost their heads as a part of them helping us out during a crucial time. But
I can't believe this. Like you're like speaking some knowledge on France here that's making me actually kind of like France. Actually, I don't dislike France. I think that, some stuff in the 2000s with the,
Well, I believe as Willie the Groundskeeper put it, a bunch of cheese-eating surrender monkeys.
Exactly. I mean, look, I don't know why there's just something that I would say it's a great place to visit, but I wouldn't want to live there. Although I wouldn't mind living there, I guess. I've never been there. You might get to go sometime soon,
well,
right?
the plan is in the next year, I'm gonna be heading out there, and I'm just gonna have to hide from them that I'm Belgian, because apparently on the list of people that French don't like.
You are really up on like who doesn't like each other. I think it's pretty generally that people aren't hugely fond of the French, but I also kind of feel like the French aren't hugely fond of other people too.
Yeah, but at least they're honest about it. You kind of know, you go over there, you know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
So one of the things I enjoyed learning about, pardon my French, was also some other terms that were very similar that are used. Mm-hmm. And one of them is called taking French leave, which is leaving a gathering without saying goodbye and thanking the host, which leads to one of my favorite moves and something that I embrace and do frequently.
Yeah.
The Irish goodbye or the Irish exit.
So good. And I hadn't heard this one until like fairly recently, because I was called out for doing it. And I'm going, like, I have a very Irish name. How have I gone my whole life without having heard this phrase? So I will, can I tell you a story about one time I did an Irish goodbye?
Please.
And how it got me another nickname. So you said that's your move. And
well, should we explain what that is in case there's people that have more class and sophistication than we do?
Please do. Okay. So my understanding of an Irish goodbye is you say goodbye, or excuse me, you leave a party or a gathering without saying goodbye to anyone. So you just sort of vanish.
Yes.
So it happens. People do it. And I feel like I have heard other nationalities take credit for this one as well. Like I want to, and I don't remember off the top of my head who it was, but somebody else one time said, yeah, I did I don't remember what they are. They're like Italian or something. They're like, oh, I did an Italian exit or something. I'm going, hold on. Don't try to take Irish goodbye from us. Like, we don't have much. We've got potato, famine, smack, and that we're all alcoholics and the Irish goodbye.
And actually, those are 2 of the 3 explanations I've seen for the roots of this. Just
it's all we have.
Spoiler alert.
It's all we have. It's alcohol, potatoes, and alcohol that comes from potatoes. So, and by the way, I can say that because I do have a little Scotch-Irish background. But anyway, so we're at a work gathering a couple years ago. We're out of town. We'd gone to this bowling thing. So everything now, by the way, which I'm not complaining about this at all, but it used to just be you go bowling. Mm-hmm. Maybe you get a pitcher of beer, kind of like you go to the movies and have a popcorn. But now everywhere you go, everyone's going, oh, you know what people like? Alcohol. Right. And so there's more and more opportunities to drink wherever you go. So there's these bowling alleys now where you can drink heavily while you bowl. And again, I don't think that's totally new. You could always get a pitcher of beer. But we're at this work event and we're bowling and it's like this fancy place and they keep coming up with trays of like hard liquor. Mm-hmm. Like here's a big tray of bourbon, shots of bourbon. Somebody's ordering it, some VP or something. So we're getting pretty buzzed, pretty drunk. We go back to the hotel kind of late. I think we had some dinner in the meantime. I don't really remember the whole story, but we're at the hotel, end up drinking with a bunch of people from work. And then I had this realization of like, nothing good can happen from this point out.
Right.
And we're at the hotel bar where we're staying.
Right.
So I just got up and sprinted to the elevator.
Right.
As it was told to me later, and went up and went to sleep. And then the next day, everyone was calling me the Flash because they said they'd never seen me move so fast, which isn't surprising. And I wasn't sick or anything. I just was like,
right.
I'm going to give my political views on something or talk about hating the Welsh or something. You know, I knew I was at that bourbon limit, just got up, did an Irish goodbye. But again, my nickname was the Flash for a little while after that. Then people saw me actually moving around again, or remembered that was a ironically hilarious nickname that should probably drop. But
two things. One, there's worse reasons to be called the Flash, especially at a corporate event. So don't feel too bad.
That's right. Well, maybe that was the joke. Maybe I did earn it in another way, but.
And two, you hit on one of the key things for me and for my Irish exits, Irish goodbyes, is there's a point in the night where, especially if there's beverages involved, that a voice in my head says, I've realized nothing good's going to happen.
Yeah.
This is the point to get out when you can. And I leave. So to bring it back to my story of this, it was a neighborhood event we had a couple years ago. So I'm with my friends, the mayor and the Italian, and they've never seen my move before. So our spouses are there at this party, and I realize at this point in the night, nothing good's going to happen. So I leave. So the mayor and the Italian go to my wife and go, Where's Steve? What happened? She's like, don't worry about it. So, what do you mean? She's like, trust me. Is he sick? Is he gonna go somewhere? And my poor dear wife, who's been through, she understands.
It's not her first rodeo.
Yeah, it's not her first rodeo. And there's times she probably wishes I would have taken the Irish exit early. It's just like, don't worry about it. He's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
So the mayor and the Italian are great friends and great neighbors. And actually went to look for me and came back and again told my wife we can't find him. He didn't, answer the door of the house, and she was.
Yeah. She was like, I told you, don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. It's good. So
yeah.
I, at that point, didn't realize that I had been doing that. But they actually had informed me of what that is called, the Irish.
Oh, so you just learned that then too?
Yeah. I just had instinctually been doing that.
Yeah.
And there is some Irish in me somewhere.
Yeah.
And that's generally the part I blame for when I drink too much or leave places.
Right. Well, and you've got German, and Germans are...
yeah. Well, they're generally the people chasing people out. Right. You don't hear it's more of a German greeting.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But they're on the other end of it. They're showing up
and
unannounced.
But they can drink. But they can drink.
Right.
But that reminded me of reminds me of an epic Irish goodbye. Again, didn't know that it was called that, but you were involved in this one.
All right.
This goes way back. This goes 15 years ago back, which is we were. I don't know why or what we were doing, if it was like a fantasy baseball draft or football draft, but it was one of the few times I went out with you and a couple other friends. Comes up at one point in the night that I'd never seen Caddyshack. So everyone's all over me. We're going back to Steve's house. We're watching Caddyshack. I'm like, no, I'm going home, going to bed. I'm tired. Need to go to bed. And I've been drinking and I'm just done. No, you're not. And it was like, we're going to Steve's house. We're going to watch Caddyshack. And it was like not taking no for an answer. So I pulled and this may not be an Irish goodbye. This just may be just a way it's just a lie. But I said, okay, let's go. I'll follow you to Steve's house. And I instead turned and went home, turned off all my phones and went to sleep. And the next day had lots of messages with a lot of, and nobody was saying pardon my French. It was just straight up screaming at me, where are you? Thankfully, nobody came to my house, but I did dip on that. So, but the good thing now with the Irish goodbye, what makes it kind of easy and helps facilitate it is the Uber or Lyft app. Because once that little voice tells you, you listen to that voice and you pull up the app and you call a car, because then it's not saying you can't cancel the app, but it's pretty much irreversible. You're leaving. You walk outside, drunk as you want to be, and wait for that ride to come, and nobody has to know. You don't have to worry about getting somebody to give you a ride or anything else. It really facilitates the old Irish goodbye.
That's good. So to get back to the roots of this and the research I did, the roots are pretty spurious. I'm not sure how accurate or true these are. So one of them, as we had alluded to, comes back to the potato famine when millions of Irish had to flee to the U.S. So I think that was a little bit sad. The one I lean on, which is probably true, is, when you think about the Irish, you think about drinking. Yep. So when there's drinking, there's going to be reasons to leave or reasons to have the voice in your head say it's time to go.
Right.
So the last one, which comes from irishcentral.com, which I don't know how revered they are for etymology, but I'm going with it. They see the root as potentially coming from an enraged woman who had coined the term after her second Irish boyfriend in a row disappeared without a trace.
Now that sounds... So it's kind of like, it's like ghosting kind of.
I would put that more under the ghosting category.
Right.
So
Irish ghost. We need an Irish ghost.
One of the articles I found on this, discussing the Irish exit, from Thrillist.com, specified some rules to how to properly execute an Irish goodbye or an Irish exit, which I agree with.
Okay.
Since basically I do most of these things. So some of the rules, alcohol should be involved almost without exception, which I think makes sense. If it's a situation where right. So a bridal shower and you can't just disappear because you don't want to talk to people. There has to be alcohol involved. Okay. There should be no one there that could possibly die before you see him again.
Ooh, okay.
Which sounds a little bit harsh, but at the same time, if you think about it, if you're at Terminal Ted's beer bash,
Terminal Ted,
you might want to say something to him. If someone texts you, answer. Which makes me think of your situation.
I broke a rule there.
Again, I don't know how official these rules are. Couple, close all tabs before you leave. That's just good. Common sense. And one, I like this too. And I'm not sure, this might be the rule I violate. Tell at least one person you might be leaving.
Oh, okay.
Plant a little bit of a seed so they don't know that.
Well, because you kind of broke that one.
I did.
With you had the mayor and the Italian searching the neighborhood for you.
Yeah.
Although I would say you get a pass on that because your spouse was there who had told them, don't worry about it. So it kind of, the reason you got to give someone that little, I might be heading out soon, is so they don't freak out when all of a sudden you're disappeared. Yeah. But you didn't need to do that because.
Yeah. And the poor woman probably just wanted a few minutes of peace without me there to bother and annoy her.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure she was like, please go home. It's okay.
So we've been picking on the French a bit and now the Irish. So the Irish are not the only people that have been assigned as potentially having the Dutch. Again, keeping our streak of the Dutch showing up. Dutch leave.
Yes, that's the other one I remember somebody saying. Okay.
Yeah, and another one.
Dutch coming in, sorry to cut you off, but Dutch coming in hot for season 2. They're bringing it. And then I want to say we even finished off, we finished off the last season with Dutch and then just brought them back in. We're going to have to do Dutch oven next time. Or
maybe not.
Well.
And something that reminds me of Dutch oven, the Swedish exit, which just sounds dirty. I mean, there's just no way around that.
Why does it sound so dirty?
It just does.
Because Dutch doesn't.
If I come up to you and, if I'm following the Irish goodbye rules and I tell at least one person I'm going to do a Swedish exit, I might get a slap across the face, or have the night of my life. I'm not sure. One of those options.
So we're gonna ixnay the Dutch oven and the Swedish exit. Yeah, they both sound.
Oh, maybe Swedish exit. We'll see. I think that might be the term I'm going to try to get in the lexicon again. So thinking of my good neighbor, the Italian, who's wonderful, leads to our next one. Mm-hmm. When in Rome.
Yes.
Or the full use is when in Rome. Do as the Romans do.
Right.
So this is one that I think I use every now and then. Mm-hmm. I don't know how correctly I use it. And that's one of the things as we go through this, it's a phrase you say, but when you really think about what you're saying, do you say it properly? So what I like about this one too is the origins are fairly classy. The roots of this can be traced back to St. Augustine, or as he was known just back then, probably Augustine.
Yeah. I think so.
Or hey guy.
Yeah.
Not sure about the hey guy part, but hey potentially. Guy. So St. Augustine of Hippo, crucial Christian theologian from the 4th century, numerous written works, including some that are still in circulation. Mm-hmm. The City of God, and also his Confessions.
Yeah.
Which has been in circulation by my bed for about About 3 years. It was a New Year's. I'm going to read this book finally.
I was going to say, so you've been rereading it?
Yeah. Or it's more like it's been collecting dust samples for the last 3 years.
I mean, I'm aware of it. I've never read it, shockingly, but it gets referenced a lot. If you listen now, listening to a lot of podcasts now where like, whether it be, Joe Rogan or you're listening to like Jordan Peterson or Dave Rubin or those guys, whenever there are debates about religion or God, Augustine comes up all the time.
And he's somebody too that, Catholics and Protestants both generally look back on favorably and can reference. He kind of bridges the gap. So the roots of the phrase come back to the 4th century. Augustine has just moved to Milan to take up a role as professor of rhetoric. And there's some cultural differences in there. Unlike his previous church in Rome, he found this congregation didn't fast on Saturdays. So what he did is he reached out to the current bishop of Milan, St. Ambrose, who we hear some about, maybe not as much. Mm-hmm. He was the bishop of Milan at the time of Augustine's conversion and is generally understood in tradition to be the one that baptized Augustine. So pretty close to each other. Yeah. So Augustine reached out to Ambrose, and this was his response. So my Italian's not very good. I either have like the kind of Giuseppe, hey, Mario, why you flip the pizza, that? Yeah. Or I also have, when I read Latin, I sound like the priest in The Godfather. So I'm going to go with that one here.
I like that one better.
To say that. So when he reached out to Ambrose, this was his response. Romanum vino, inino sabato, hic sum nani luno, sicatum tu ad quatna. Started sounding Chinese at that point.
A portal just opened up in the room. Yeah. Demons are flying through.
No, that somehow went to like it sounded like the guy from Big Trouble in Little China. Oh. For a moment. Yeah. So I'm just going to go.
Leave Jack Burton alone.
Let me try one more time, and if not, I'll just read it.
Do it.
Nomine Padre, nomine Daughter. Michael, do you forsake? No, I don't even say it.
Truthfully.
All right.
I'll be able to use something out of that.
So,
but just
instead of me trying to read Latin, I'm just going to read the translation.
Okay.
So Ambrose's response was, when I go to Rome, I fast on Saturday, but here I do not. Do you also follow the custom of whatever church you attend? Or do you not want to give or receive scandal? So basically, this was summated down into when in Rome, do as the Romans do.
So it kind of sounds too like it's a little bit of a argument against legalism.
Yeah.
Which I like. So it's
but also go with the flow.
Yeah.
Kind of too of why make a big deal about I agree with your point of why let's not make a big stink about that.
Well, when I've thought about this phrase in the past, it does. I do think we use it incorrectly a lot, much like Ron Burgundy, which I'm sure we'll get to. But I also think about what render under Caesar what is Caesar's or whatever, which is different, but it's also Roman or origin or Italian origin, and makes you think about this thing of, I guess, with the Roman Empire being such a massive deal.
Right.
I think that's the official term. A massive deal.
They were a massive deal. That's the way it was always.
Yeah, it's like, but although again, the render under Caesar, Jesus. Yeah. And I think that there meant a lot more than when in Rome. So maybe not the best, but I don't know.
So you were getting at, so it's a phrase we all seem to know when we hear it, or we recognize it. But how do you use it? Like, so I've used it in situations where you're somewhere and someone's like, "Do you want to do this? Do you want that?" And someone says, "When in Rome."
Right.
It's not necessarily because it's the local custom. It's generally, now that I've said it out loud, I think it's mainly excuse.
Yeah.
To have a drink.
It's a classier way of saying YOLO. It really is.
That is.
Because or like c'est la vie. It's this thing which I have no idea what c'est la vie means, but I think there's like such is life or something like that, right? But it clearly doesn't mean the same thing, but you would interchangeably, hey, should we do this? You know what? When in Rome, or c'est la vie, or YOLO. It's just something you say to say, screw it. We're gonna do what we want to do. It does come back to the drinking.
You don't sound like a moron. Because when you say YOLO,
can't. Here's the beauty you're right. You can't. YOLO, in a way, is a better, like saying you only live once would be a better, more accurate way of answering the question. But you just can't say it because it's been tainted. Wow, it's just awful. It's a Drake. Yeah. It's a Drake lyric, right? Or I think has something to do with Drake.
Sure. I think we're going down a really just dark.
Hey man,
area.
sometimes we take a turn on these shows, but anyway. So when in Rome, a classier YOLO. I mean, I think we do need to address the elephant in the room, which is
the first thing you thought of.
The first thing I hear when in Rome is Ron Burgundy. I mean, and it got me thinking. I looked this up before the show. That movie came out in like 2000. Now I forget 2003, I think, or 4. Yeah. I still remember like being excited about it coming out because it looked hilarious, and it lived up to it. I don't know. Did we see that at the theater together? Pretty sure
we might have at one point. I think I saw it originally. I remember seeing it with my wife, and this was at my phase. As you know, I'm not a fan of people. I saw it on a Saturday morning, at 11, because no one would be there. So it gave me an excuse to go to a movie theater and not have to interact with other human beings. But I'm sure we've watched it after. But that is strange to see that and to see that it's 15 plus years.
Yeah, and
that's just odd.
I can't believe it was that long ago, and it's a movie that does kind of split people, like. You either kind of like Anchorman or you don't.
I found that too, which surprised me because I really like it, and I don't understand how people don't like it.
It's a big. I mean, it's on my short list of just the rewatchable movies. Yeah. It's like some people actually don't like Will Ferrell, which I don't get. I'm like, how? Like, I will admit when he first came on SNL, it took a while before I realized why he was in every sketch. Because there's a while I was like, this is the worst cast ever. He's in every sketch. He's not that funny. And then all of a sudden, the Majesty sort of clicked in, and you're like, oh, he's just funny. And
on the flip side of that, and again, 2019 Steve is very positive.
Yeah.
The Ron Burgundy podcast. Have you heard it?
No.
You'll be okay.
I saw it keeps popping up like you need to listen to this, and I was
very disappointed. Yeah. And I think it's more in my jealousy of people that have other things to do that are now crowding the podcast area.
It bothers me too because I get this thing. I'm like, hey. I know we're still fairly new, but like, come on, man, you're a movie star. You don't need to. But a lot of times those don't work. I've noticed, which a lot of the big people come in and.
So the Ron Burgundy podcast is pretty much what you think it is, except not funny. Is like the best way to describe it.
Yeah, Will Ferrell. Well, and I didn't see. I don't think anybody did go see the latest one. He and the Step Brothers guy did.
Oh yeah,
which
I saw at one point had a 0 on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know if what's going on, but Will Ferrell used to be, he's just funny for showing up. And I mean, he had a lot of great movies, but bringing it back to When in Rome, I think whether you like or you dislike that movie, the When in Rome thing is universal. Like people started saying it more because of that movie.
Right. And using it even more out of context.
Yeah, and I don't think realizing like the joke of it. You know, I think that some people use it as a joke, but then I think now over time, like if we were doing this show 20 years from now, doing When in Rome, we talk about, and matter of fact, I guess we're doing it right now because it has been 15 years. I think that term is now much more in the lexicon, but also used incorrectly. Like ironically, like in the show, it was the funny thing that he would always like. Oh, I like the sound of that. When in Rome, as and we knew it was wrong, but now I think people just maybe don't even know it comes from Anchorman.
It's used as like a non sequitur just to be funny,
right? Or to drink more.
When you say "when in Rome," and I'll have that drink, and again, now I think 90% of the times I've seen that used as an excuse to have a drink at 11 in the morning.
Right.
You're going to end up having to say, "Pardon my French."
And you're probably going to do an Irish goodbye.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Well, I'm generally not a fan of anybody. So